Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. This is your May 2021 horoscope, Aquarius Moon or Aquarius Ascendant. So, starting off here in the month of May, on the 1st, we have Mercury shifting into the sign of Taurus. So, Mercury is now leaving behind Aries, which is this very active, adventurous, lively energy that we discussed back in the month of April. So as we've been going through this transit of Mercury and Aries, there's been energy all over the place. This has been crazy as Mars and Mercury are not friends. Mercury and Venus, however, are great friends. And so as Mercury comes into the sign of Taurus, this grounds this energy. This makes this more practical, where this logic, this communication becomes much more grounded. We're able to navigate this energy much better here, where you will feel this groundedness coming into the month of May. Now, along with that, Uranus will meet up with the Sun on the 1st as well, for those of you who are following those 3 extra planets. And so this is an interesting energy as our consciousness is being exploded through this Uranus transit. So this is a great time for this flash of inspiration, this insight, where we can see these unexpected changes coming in through our consciousness, through our awareness. Now, moving forward here to the 4th of May. May the 4th be with you. Venus is shifting ahead into the sign of Taurus, where we'll meet up in this conjunction with Mercury. This is a great influence. Here we can see the communication style. We can see the way of conveying logic and understanding coming into this peaceful, more grounded energy, as Venus is at home here in the sign of Taurus and giving the support, giving the aid to Mercury as well. This is a great transit for practical thinking, for decision making, for negotiating, as we're going through this transit here of Mercury and Venus in Taurus. Along with that, Mercury is going to meet up with Rahu later on here on the 4th as well. This is a great position also, as Mercury and Rahu are friendly to one another to a certain extent. This will give great aspiration, great inspiration towards thinking, towards researching, towards collecting data and information. Remember that Rahu is a planet of obsession, and so Rahu is also connected to technology. It is connected to research, and so anyone who is planning on learning a new subject, anyone who is planning on doing deep research, anything that is involved in writing, this is a great time, as Rahu is going to blow up this Mercury energy, where this gives us a tremendous amount of curiosity, a tremendous amount of communication that we can use at this time. On the 13th of May, Venus will also meet up with Rahu. Venus and Rahu are great friends to one another. Venus, of course, because it is the planet of luxury, of beauty, of wealth, of attraction, and Rahu, again, being this planet of obsession. It wants more. It wants to gain something. It is an ambitious planet. And so Rahu and Venus get together, and the things that you want to achieve, the things that you want to gain and attract into your life, this amplifies this. This gives you the ambition to achieve these things that you would like. And so you can see, especially for those of you who have Venus placed in a good condition within your chart, this gives you the ability to acquire the wealth, to acquire the luxury, to acquire the possessions that you are looking towards throughout this transit here in the month of May. As we move forward, on the 14th of May, the Sun will shift into Taurus, marking a new focus, a new center of consciousness, as we are putting our focus now into this more stable, more grounded, more peaceful energy. Remember that the Sun was exalted in Aries, where we had all of this energy, we had all of this drive, all of this liveliness. Now, as the Sun comes into its enemy sign of Taurus, this is where the Sun loses its energy, because remember that the Sun and Venus are not friends. So here the Sun is calmed down, it's slowed down in the sign of Taurus, where this is a great time to relax, to go inward, to ground yourself, to slow all of this energy down and to really bring yourself back into the present. Moving forward here on the 18th of May, Venus will meet up with Mercury once again. So this is a huge time here again of this communication where we're using our speech in a beautiful, peaceful way. So this is great for communication. This is great for writing. This is great for negotiation. Any deal making that you are trying to get across during this time. Moving forward here on the 19th of May, the Sun will meet up with Rahu. So now we're getting closer to this eclipse season as the Sun is coming closer to the position of Rahu. And remember that wherever Rahu is, it is going to explode. It's going to give this illusion of this bigger image or this bigger illusion than what it may seem to be. And so here we want to be careful as Rahu can explode the ego. This can give a strong sense of self. And so this is where we can see a lot of ego issues coming up with Rahu here with the Sun. This is a great time for confidence. This is a great time for stepping up and moving forward, taking the risk, taking the action to get the things done that you want in your life. But once again, be careful of that expansion, that explosion of the ego that can take place here during this transit. Now, all of these planets of the Sun, of Venus, of Rahu, of Mercury are all going to receive a fourth aspect over from Jupiter and Aquarius. So this is really going to expand the knowledge, expand the insight. Again, with all of these placements, there's so much brilliance, there's so much practicality here where we can use this knowledge in a more grounded way, in a more practical way towards our goals, towards the things that we want to get done, as this energy is slowed down, it's calmed down here in the sign of Taurus. On the 23rd of May, Saturn will station retrograde, and we will talk about this in a future video. But this is a major time of going back and looking over the structures, looking over the routines, looking at the things that you have in place, and making sure that you have the proper discipline, that you have the proper order, the proper structure in your life. This also affects us collectively, as Saturn is a societal planet. This is all about the structure, the rules that are put in place here in our physical construct. Moving forward on the 26th of May, Mercury will shift into Gemini, into its own sign, and so here the intellect is very high. This becomes a strong position of communication, of writing, of connecting to others, of pulling in information from different places, and you can feel the curiosity, you can feel the adventure starting to increase here, of wanting to learn, wanting to explore more, where this can really help in expanding your knowledge depending on where Mercury is positioned in your chart. On the 28th of May, Venus will shift into the sign of Gemini as well, where it will meet up with Mercury once again. So again, this communication style of negotiating, of making peace, of resolving issues, of being able to make deals continues to increase here with this aspect, this conjunction between Venus and Mercury. On the 29th, we will see Mercury station retrograde as well. So we will get into that in a future video. A lot of major things that are coming here. Now for the position of the moon, I will talk about that in a future video, but major moments that we will go through here are on the 11th of May, when we will have a new moon in the Kritika Nakshatra. So this will fall at the end of the sign of Aries, and this will be an interesting one as it will be in a conjunction with Uranus. We will talk more about that in a future video. Also, we have the big event of the full moon lunar eclipse happening in Anuradha in the sign of Scorpio here on May 26th. So that is a huge event, as that will shift us into eclipse season. For those of you with an Aquarius moon or Aquarius ascendant, we are starting off this month of May with Mercury, Venus, and the Sun shifting out of your third house and into your fourth house. And so this is an interesting transit where this is a great time to go inward, to reflect inward in yourself and to draw on your creativity, your imagination that you have deep within. This is a great time to work on perfecting your skills, your craft, and finding that inspiration. For a lot of you, going into quiet time reflection can give you some great insight and can allow you to tap into your many skill sets, which will help you move forward as these planets will shift forward into the sign of Gemini there in your fifth house. This is going to be a huge month of utilizing the skills, the creativity that you have, drawing and pulling from that inspiration internally and expressing that externally, especially as we come here towards the end of May. And as we come here towards the end of the May with Mercury and Venus shifting here into the sign of Gemini there in your fifth house, we will see Mercury station retrograde, which will give some even deeper insight in terms of knowledge, in terms of communication, getting your ideas across. Mercury is a friend to your planetary ruler Saturn, so this is very beneficial as Mercury is going to station retrograde here in the fifth house, giving you some deep insight, some deep creativity, some deep skills and intellect to pull from in this fifth house of education. Now, as these planets are shifting through the sign of Taurus, they will come into a conjunction with Rahu, which gives a lot of deep inspiration and this motivation and ambition to go after your goals that you want. Again, there's a lot here in terms of isolating, in terms of going into your sanctuary, your peaceful space here in the fourth house, and drawing on that inspiration, drawing on what it is that you want to express and put out into the world. Also, they will receive a fifth aspect from Jupiter in your first house, highly beneficial. Not only is Jupiter here at a Kendra, but it is sitting in your first house of self. So a lot of you are being blessed and fortunate here through this transit of Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is not a friendly planet to your ruler, Saturn, so you want to look closely at what Jupiter is doing in your chart. But Jupiter definitely is here to give you some beneficial results for those of you with an Aquarius moon, Aquarius ascendant. Now, along with that, we will see Saturn station retrograde back in your 12th house. So this is a very deep time for introspection and reflection. Saturn being a very rational sign, and it's sitting back here in this 12th house where this is very deep, of going within, of reflecting inwardly. And so as Saturn is stationing retrograde here back in the 12th, this becomes a great time to look within yourself, to pull on some great detail and insight in terms of who you are and what the things are that you're trying to see and unveil. Again, also with K2 sitting up there in that 10th house, there's a lot here throughout this whole entire year that is centered around looking and finding yourself, finding what it is that you're trying to present, what it is that you're trying to show to the world. A lot of this coming through deep internal reflection and spirituality with this Jupiter transit in the first and Saturn sitting back in the 12th here. This can also be a time where you find that you have to put a lot of work into giving, into putting your energy out into something, that 12th house being the house of expenditure. So this may be a time, again, depending on where Saturn is positioned in your chart, this may be a time of exerting a lot of energy to work towards your goals, to work towards the success that you want. A lot that you have to pull from creatively and imaginatively at this time, where this may require a lot of effort, a lot of work, as Saturn is in its opposition over to your 6th house. But also with this can bring up some issues around having to spend money, having to put a lot of investment, a lot of work, a lot of effort into this journey of really finding yourself and putting yourself out into the world. A lot of subconscious things that are happening here in terms of going within yourself, reflecting, and pulling out that inspiration that will catapult you in the right direction. we're also going to see a new moon in the Kritika Nakshatra. Again, we'll talk more about that in a future video. And along with that, we will see a full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So now we're getting ready to shift into our eclipse season here in the month of May. So this is huge. This full moon lunar eclipse happening up in your 10th house, where you can see some big shifts and changes happening within your career. Again, a lot here in terms of trying to establish what it is that you want your status, that you want your image to the world to look like in terms of what you're producing, what you're putting out there, what you are going after at this time. And this full moon lunar eclipse being a huge release moment of diving into the unknown, of really going in and releasing, letting go of any sort of blocks that are preventing you from moving into this direction. And so this is a transit where a lot of heavy truth, a lot of deeper insight can come out through this transit. You want to be careful about anything that you're doing career-wise with this lunar eclipse, where there can be some sort of scandal, some sort of cover-up or hidden truth that comes out here in the public. But we'll talk more about that in a future video, of course, where we will get deeper into this whole lunar eclipse experience. It off for those of you with an Aquarius moon or Aquarius ascendant. I pulled some cards from the Vedic Astrology deck. So first we have the 11th house, your natural house for those of you with an Aquarius moon, Aquarius ascendant. This is a huge time of publicity. Once again, we talked about this a little bit with that full moon lunar eclipse that is coming here. This is a lot that is happening in terms of your status, your achievements, what you want to achieve, what you're working towards. This is a time to be goal-oriented and very much in the realm of business, especially as our next card here is the 7th house. So this is a great time for partnerships, for business dealings. Once again, there's a lot of creativity, a lot of inspiration for you to pull from internally and to use, especially as these planets shift forward into the sign of Gemini. Our next card here is Ashwini, and so this is a huge time of moving in a new direction, and we'll see that especially with this new moon in Aries happening there in your 3rd house. Again, business is a huge highlight coming into this month of May, where this is a huge time of moving forward, of going in the direction that you want to achieve. At the same time, this is a time to go internally, to reflect within yourself. This is where you get this deep inspiration, this deep internal knowing and insight that's going to help move you in this direction, as we can see from our next card here, Uttara Ashada. Following that is Pluto. Once again, there's something big happening here that is going to shake up your world. And so this is definitely the end of a old chapter, moving you in a brand new direction. There's a lot of doorways that are opening up here. And again, you want to be careful about any sort of scandalous activity or anything that's happening behind the scenes. There is a lot that can get out to the public that you want to be aware of here. This next card is Virgo. Again, very much about perfecting your craft, working on your skills, coming up with these creative ideas that you can use and put out into the world. Our next card here being the Pushya Nakshatra, where this is time to nurture your goals. Again, time to go deep within, to reflect within yourself, and to really dig for that deep inspiration, that deep knowing, that deep sense of purpose to catapult you into the correct direction. Next here we have the sun and the moon. This is farming the full moon, of course, which is a huge highlight, as this will happen in your 10th house. Once again, big doorways opening up in your career and a lot that's being cleared and released that will help you to move into this new direction in your business, in your career, in your goals of what you're trying to achieve at this time. With the sun there, this is a great time for you to take on your own business or to take on some sort of position of leadership. The sun, of course, though, is the enemy of your ruler Saturn, as it controls your 7th house of partnership. And so this can be a huge time where your individuality is being heavily highlighted, where you want to focus on your individuality, you, and how you can put that out into the world, and sort of avoiding these power plays or these issues that can come up in relationships where others are dominating over you. This is your time to be independent and to own your creativity. That sun being a very creative planet, and also with the moon being a very creative planet that shines as well. This is a huge time for you to put your gifts, your creativity out into the world, and to trust in your intuition, to trust in where the feeling is taking you with all of these shifts and changes. The next two cards here, also being business related, are the 10th house and the 6th house. So this is time to work on your craft, time to work on your image of what you want others to see in terms of your career, your business, your goals, whatever the case may be. What is that public image that you want others to see? This is a big time of making decisions and choices that push you towards your destiny. Has been your May 2021 horoscope for Aquarius Moon or Aquarius Lagna. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button along with the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any new content moving forward here, especially with this huge full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, which will be happening in a Kendra house for those of you with Aquarius. So this is huge for the Aquarius individuals out there. You don't want to miss out on this one. So make sure you're hitting that notification bell so that you can be notified on all these big transits that are coming up here in the month of May and pushing us into all of this retrograde season and eclipse season that is coming ahead as well. If you would like to learn more about Vedic astrology in depth, there is a course available in the Facebook group, Astrology Lessons with Daquan Jones. The information for that is down below in the description along with the comments. I want to thank you all so much for joining. I will see you all in the next video.